Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World. Today, we have something pretty exciting to talk about, the 1967 Roosevelt dime. This is a coin you might see in your change every now and then, but don't let its humble appearance fool you. There's more to this dime than meets the eye, and in today's video, we're going to explore why this specific year is so valuable. If you're a collector or just someone looking to learn more about rare coins, this one is definitely worth paying attention to. Let's start with the basics. The 1967 Roosevelt dime is part of the series that has been around since 1946, featuring Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, on the obverse. The reverse shows a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing freedom and peace. It's a classic design that we've seen for decades, but what makes this coin special is what's hiding beneath the surface. First, let's talk about the key features of the 1967 Roosevelt dime. The coin was minted from 90% silver and 10% copper, weighing 2.5 grams and measuring 17.9 millimeters in diameter. It has a reeded edge, and most importantly, it was struck in both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with no mint mark on the Philadelphia coins and a D mint mark on those from Denver. The 1967 dime was issued as part of regular circulation, but there's more to this coin that collectors are looking for. Now, let's dig into some of the errors you'll want to watch out for. While the 1967 dime itself may not be especially rare, certain errors can make it highly valuable. One error to keep an eye out for is the double die. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned and strikes the coin more than once, leaving behind a visible doubling effect. If you closely inspect the date and the lettering, especially the Liberty and In God We Trust, you may notice a slight or significant doubling effect. The clearer and more pronounced the doubling, the higher the value. These double die error coins are highly prized by collectors and can fetch quite a price. Another potential error is the off-center strike, which occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process. This results in a design that's misaligned, leaving part of the coin blank or incomplete. If you find a 1967 Roosevelt dime with an off-center strike, it could be a rare and valuable find, especially if it's a significant misalignment. One other error that pops up occasionally is the clash die. This happens when the dies used to strike the coin collide without a coin in between them. This can leave behind faint or visible markings on the opposite side of the coin, creating a unique feature that collectors love to hunt down. The 1967 dime can sometimes show this error, and if you spot one, it could be a very valuable addition to your collection. But beyond the errors, why is the 1967 Roosevelt dime so valuable? There are a few reasons. First, this coin was struck during a time when the U.S. government was still producing silver coins, making the 1967 dime a great example of silver coinage before the switch to copper-nickel dimes in 1965. Although the silver content is less than the pre-1965 dimes, it still holds intrinsic value because of the silver composition. But the real kicker comes from those rare errors we just discussed. If you come across a 1967 Roosevelt dime with a major error, its value can skyrocket, making it worth far more than just its melt value. As for how to spot a valuable 1967 Roosevelt dime, here's what you should do. Start by examining the coin under good lighting. Look closely at the date and the inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see any signs of doubling, especially on the date or the lettering, you might have an error coin on your hands. Next, check for an off-center strike. If the design seems to be shifted or misaligned, that's a sign you've got something special. Lastly, look for any signs of a clashed die, like faint imprints from the opposite side. If you notice any of these features, don't hesitate to hold on to the coin or get it appraised. Now, let's talk about the potential value of a 1967 Roosevelt dime. If you find one with a clear double die error, an off-center strike, or a clashed die, it could be worth anywhere from $2,800 to $41,000. That's right, depending on the rarity and condition of the coin, it could be worth a significant amount of money. Keep in mind, Coins in pristine condition will always fetch more, so make sure to keep any special finds well preserved. Before we wrap up, I've got a question for you. Have you ever found a coin with an error or one that you think might be valuable? Maybe a 1967 Roosevelt dime or another one? Drop a comment below and share your story with us. I'd love to hear what you've come across. And today, we're diving into the Roosevelt dime from 1975, a coin that might seem pretty standard at first glance but has some fascinating features and potential for collectors. Whether you're new to coin collecting or a seasoned enthusiast, this is one you don't want to overlook. So, let's get started. The 1975 Roosevelt dime was minted during a time when the U.S. government was moving away from the silver-based coinage of previous decades. Unlike the earlier dimes made from 90% silver, the 1975 dimes are composed of copper nickel, making them a bit more common but still valuable under the right circumstances. The obverse of the coin features a portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, and on the reverse, you'll find a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. But, if you think this dime is just a simple, everyday coin, think again. There are some key features, errors, and potential values that could make this coin a hidden gem. So, let's talk about what makes the 1975 Roosevelt dime special. First, let's talk about the key features. The 1975 Roosevelt dime has a diameter of 17.9 millimeters and weighs 2.5 grams. It has a reeded edge and is composed of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, which is typical for U.S. coins post-1965. The dimes were minted at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, and the key distinguishing factor is the lack of mint mark for Philadelphia coins, the D mint mark for Denver, and the S mint mark for San Francisco. Now, let's move on to the errors you should keep an eye out for. While the 1975 Roosevelt dime may not be known for many major design flaws, there are still some potential errors that can significantly increase its value. One error you want to be on the lookout for is the double die error. Double die occurs when the coin's die strikes the planchet more than once, and this results in a doubling effect on the design. You might notice the letters and numbers of the coin, particularly in Liberty and In God We Trust, appearing slightly more than once or doubled. A noticeable double die is a sought-after feature for collectors, and it can make your coin much more valuable than a standard dime. Another potential error is the off-center strike. If the coin wasn't properly aligned during the minting process, the design might be shifted to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. This creates a unique and rare coin that can be very valuable to the right buyer. The more extreme the misalignment, the higher the value can go. Lastly, the clashed die error is another one you want to look out for. A clashed die occurs when the dies that press the coin together strike each other without a coin in between, leaving an imprint of the opposite side's design on the coin. This error creates a cool and unique visual that collectors can't get enough of. So, why is the 1975 Roosevelt dime valuable? As I mentioned earlier, the 1975 dimes are made from copper nickel, so they don't have the same silver content as older dimes. But don't let that fool you. The value of this coin lies in its rarity and condition. The 1975 dimes in mint condition can fetch a good price, and if you happen to find one with a notable error, it could be worth far more than you expect. Errors are always in demand by collectors, and coins with significant double die or off-center strikes can go for a premium. In terms of value, a typical 1975 Roosevelt dime may be worth only a few dollars, but if you find one with a double die or an off-center strike, its value can go up significantly. A coin with a noticeable error could be worth anywhere from $2,900 to $39,000, depending on the rarity and quality of the error. So, how do you spot a valuable 1975 Roosevelt dime? Well, it all comes down to careful inspection. Start by closely examining the lettering and design. Look for any signs of doubling, especially around the date, Liberty, and In God We Trust. If you see any shift in the design, like an off-center strike, that's a red flag that this coin could be worth more. And if you spot any strange or faint imprints from the opposite side of the coin, you might have a clashed die on your hands. If you find any of these rare features, make sure to keep the coin safe. If it's in good condition, it could be worth a significant amount of money. Before we wrap up, here's a question for you. Have you ever come across a Roosevelt dime with an error or any other valuable coins in your collection? Drop a comment below and let us know about your rare finds. I'd love to hear your stories and see if you've stumbled upon any hidden treasures. Today's video will be a treat for you. We're going to dive into a seemingly ordinary coin that could have a very interesting twist for collectors, the United States Roosevelt dime from 2001. A lot of people overlook the 2001 dime, but trust me, it could be hiding some hidden value, especially if you know what to look for. So, let's break it down and see what makes this dime potentially worth thousands of dollars. Let's start with the basics. The Roosevelt dime, minted since 1946, features the profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, on the obverse side. The reverse side showcases a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. The design hasn't changed much over the years, but that doesn't mean that all dimes are created equal. The 2001 dime is no exception. The first thing to know about the 2001 Roosevelt dime is that it is composed of a copper-nickel clad, meaning it doesn't have the same silver content that older dimes did. This, however, doesn't automatically make it a less valuable coin. In fact, the value of a 2001 dime primarily comes from its rarity and condition, along with any errors that may exist. Now, let's take a closer look at what collectors should watch out for when hunting for valuable 2001 dimes. The first and most obvious point to remember is the coin's condition. Dimes from this era are generally not as rare as older coins, but if you manage to find one in uncirculated, mint condition, it could command a premium price. Coins that show no wear and tear are more desirable and can fetch higher values, so if you happen to come across one that's in pristine condition, it's definitely worth hanging on to. But what about errors? Now we're talking. One of the main reasons this coin can be more valuable is due to minting errors. While not every 2001 dime is going to be worth thousands, those with errors can be very lucrative for collectors. So, what should you be looking for? First up, keep an eye out for the off-center strike error. This happens when the coin is not perfectly aligned with the die during the minting process, resulting in part of the coin's design being cut off or missing. An off-center strike can be very noticeable, especially if a significant portion of the design is missing. These errors can be highly sought after by collectors and may significantly increase the coin's value. Next, look for double die errors. This happens when the die strikes the coin more than once in slightly different positions, causing the design to appear doubled. You may see this in areas like the date, the Liberty lettering, or In God We Trust. If you find a noticeable double die on a 2001 dime, especially in the high-demand areas, you could be looking at a very valuable coin. Another error to be on the lookout for is the die crack. Die cracks happen when the die used to strike the coins develops a crack. The crack can transfer to the coin, causing a raised line or blemish on the coin's surface. While die cracks are not as rare as other errors, they can still add a bit of unique character to a coin, which could make it appealing to the right collector. Now, why is this particular coin valuable? You might be wondering why a relatively recent coin like the 2001 dime could be worth so much. It all comes down to rarity, condition, and any potential errors. Even though most 2001 dimes are still in circulation, those with minting errors or in exceptional condition are considered rare finds. Collectors are always on the lookout for those elusive coins, and finding one with a significant error can really pay off. The value of the 2001 Roosevelt dime can vary significantly depending on the condition and the errors it might have. A typical 2001 dime without any errors is worth only face value, that's 10 cents. But if you happen to find a coin with an error or in perfect condition, its value can skyrocket. A 2001 dime in excellent condition or with noticeable errors can be worth anywhere between $2,700 to $36,000, depending on the specific characteristics and how rare the coin is. So, how do you spot a valuable 2001 Roosevelt dime? It's all about closely inspecting the coin. Start by looking for any doubling in the date or lettering. If you notice a clear, noticeable doubling effect, you might have found a double die error. Then, carefully check the alignment of the coin. If it looks like part of the design is cut off or shifted, you could have an off-center strike. Lastly, take a close look at the coin for any unusual cracks or raised lines that could indicate a die crack. If you find any of these errors, make sure to protect the coin properly, as it could be a valuable collector's item. Remember, even a small flaw can significantly increase the coin's value, so always handle with care and keep it safe. Before we wrap up, here's a fun question for you. Have you ever come across a coin with a minting error that was worth more than you expected? Today, we're diving into a coin that might seem like just another dime, but there's more to the 2008 Roosevelt dime than meets the eye. You might think it's just another piece of change, but trust me, if you look closely, you could find something that could be worth thousands of dollars. Today, we're going to uncover why the 2008 Roosevelt dime is a special coin for collectors and what you should be looking for to spot one that could bring in a hefty sum. Let's start by taking a look at the basics. The 2008 Roosevelt dime was minted to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who passed away in 1945. The design features a left-facing bust of Roosevelt on the obverse, with the classic torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. The dime's composition is 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, with a weight of about 2.27 grams, but while this may seem like just another dime, there's more to this coin that makes it so appealing to collectors. First, let's talk about the significance of the year 2008. The Roosevelt dime from this year was produced in several different mints across the country. The coin was released during the economic downturn of the late 2000s, and that gives it an interesting place in American coinage history. Even though most 2008 dimes are relatively common, certain aspects can make them far more valuable than you'd expect. One of the key factors that could make a 2008 Roosevelt dime valuable is its condition. Like any coin, the better the condition, the more it's worth. Most of the 2008 dimes that you'll come across today will likely have some degree of wear. But, if you find a 2008 dime in uncirculated, pristine condition, it could be worth much more. Coins that are in mint condition, with little to no visible scratches or wear, are much more desirable to collectors, but let's not stop there. We're also looking for those hidden gems, mint errors. Minting errors are the key to unlocking the true value of a coin. So, what should you look for when it comes to the 2008 Roosevelt dime? First up, look out for double die errors. This happens when the coin is struck by the die more than once, in slightly different positions, causing part of the design to appear doubled. For a 2008 dime, check the date, the Liberty inscription, and, "In God We Trust," for any noticeable doubling. If you find a coin where these details appear to have a second, slightly misaligned strike, that's a potential double die error. This could make the coin significantly more valuable and something collectors would be eager to add to their collection. Next, we have the off-center strike error. This is when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, and as a result, part of the design is either cut off or shifted to one side. If you notice a 2008 dime with the design looking off-center, or a part of the coin's edge showing, then you might have found something special. Off-center coins are highly sought after, and their rarity can drive their value up dramatically. Another thing to look for is the die crack. This happens when the die used to strike the coin develops a crack, and this crack gets transferred to the coin. You might see raised lines or bumps in the coin's design, and those could indicate a die crack. While not as valuable as other errors, a die crack can still add unique character to a coin, which could increase its appeal to certain collectors. So, why is this coin so valuable? Well, the 2008 Roosevelt dime may seem like an ordinary dime at first glance, but the value is really in the details. condition and errors. Coins in uncirculated condition or those with notable minting errors are rare, which is what makes them so valuable to collectors. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins with interesting, rare characteristics, and the 2008 Roosevelt dime is one of those coins that could surprise you with its worth if you find one in exceptional condition or with an error. Let's talk about how much this coin could actually be worth. For a regular 2008 Roosevelt dime in average circulated condition, you're looking at a coin worth about its face value, that's 10 cents. But, if you find one in excellent, uncirculated condition, or better yet, one with a mint error, the value could increase significantly. A 2008 Roosevelt dime with a noticeable minting error or in pristine condition could be worth anywhere between $2,700 to $32,000, depending on the specifics of the error and the condition of the coin. So, how do you spot a valuable 2008 Roosevelt dime? The key is paying close attention to the details. Inspect the coin carefully for any doubling of the date, lettering, or any signs of misalignment in the design. If you notice anything unusual, make sure to keep that coin aside and check its authenticity. Always be careful not to damage the coin when handling it, as its value can diminish significantly with wear and tear. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever found a coin in your collection that turned out to be more valuable than you thought? Or perhaps you've come across a 2008 Roosevelt dime with a mint error? Drop your stories in the comments below. Let's talk coins. And, of course, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful and subscribe for more valuable coin tips. Today, we have something special for all the collectors out there, a coin that you may have overlooked but could actually be worth thousands of dollars if you know what to look for. I'm talking about the 2011 Roosevelt dime. Now, you might think this is just another dime, but trust me, there's more to this little coin than meets the eye. First, let's go over the key features of the 2011 Roosevelt dime. This coin, just like all the other Roosevelt dimes, was minted to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt's likeness appears on the obverse, facing left, with the familiar torch, olive branch, and oak branch appearing on the reverse. The dime weighs in at 2.27 grams and is composed of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. Nothing too unusual here, right? So, what makes the 2011 Roosevelt dime stand out? Well, keep watching because we're going to reveal the hidden treasures that could be lying in your coin jar right now. Now, let's get into the details that could make this coin valuable to collectors. As with any coin, condition is crucial when it comes to its worth. A 2011 Roosevelt dime in perfect, uncirculated condition is worth much more than one that has seen a lot of wear. These dimes are often in circulation, so finding one in mint state, free from scratches or discoloration, will already make it much more desirable to collectors. But the true hidden value of the 2011 Roosevelt dime lies in the error coins that were produced during the minting process. Mint errors are one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting because they make a coin incredibly rare and unique. And guess what? Some 2011 Roosevelt dimes had notable errors that can greatly increase their value. So let's take a closer look at what you need to watch for. The first error to keep an eye out for is a double die error. This happens when the coin's die strikes the coin more than once, causing the design to appear doubled. The most common areas where you'll notice the doubling are on the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust. If you notice any of these areas appear blurry or doubled, you might have a double die error on your hands. These are highly sought after and can make the coin significantly more valuable to collectors. Next up, we have the off-center strike error. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned with the die during the minting process. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing or shifted off-center. For the 2011 Roosevelt dime, this could mean that part of the image of Roosevelt or the reverse design is cut off, making it an error coin with potential value. Off-center coins are rare, and collectors are always on the lookout for them. Another possible error to look out for is a die crack. This happens when a crack forms on the die used to strike the coin, and that crack gets transferred to the coin's design. Die cracks can appear as raised lines or imperfections in the design. While they are not as valuable as double die errors, they still add a unique element to the coin and can increase its value among collectors. Now, why is the 2011 Roosevelt dime valuable in the first place? Well, the value of any coin comes down to its rarity, demand, and the condition it's in. The 2011 Roosevelt dime itself isn't rare, but if you're lucky enough to find one with a mint error, then you have a coin that's not only rare but desirable. Error coins are sought after by collectors because they represent an imperfection in the production process, which makes them stand out from the rest. And as more time passes, finding one of these error coins in excellent condition becomes even more difficult, which only increases its value. So, how can you spot a valuable 2011 Roosevelt dime? The key is to carefully inspect the coin for any signs of minting errors. Take a magnifying glass or loupe and check the date, the lettering, and the design for any doubling, misalignments, or cracks. A coin that's in excellent condition with no visible wear will also hold a higher value. If you do find a dime with an error, it's essential to preserve its condition. Make sure to handle it carefully to avoid causing any damage, as that can drastically lower its value. Now, let's talk about the potential worth of the 2011 Roosevelt dime. If you find a regular 2011 dime in circulation, it's worth just its face value of 10 cents. However, if you find one in mint condition or with a significant error, its value could increase dramatically. Depending on the condition and the rarity of the mint error, a 2011 Roosevelt dime could be worth anywhere from $2,600 to $31,000, or even more in exceptional cases. So, keep your eyes peeled, because you could be holding a treasure in your change. Whether it's a pristine uncirculated coin or one with an error, the 2011 Roosevelt dime might just be a hidden gem waiting for you to discover. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Have you ever found a coin with a minting error, or maybe you've got a 2011 Roosevelt dime sitting in your collection? Let me know in the comments below what you found, and don't forget to share any cool discoveries you've made. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe for more coin tips and tricks. Thanks for tuning in, and good luck on your coin hunting. Keep your eyes open, because you never know when you might stumble upon a valuable coin that could change your life.